Thomas from C2C Stamping, and I am so excited that you're here. And I'm here. Sorry that I didn't come live yesterday. I knew I was going to be doing this paper party, and so I was excited to be able to do this. So hopefully, everybody can find me and say hello if you're here. Um, it's great when I can see that everyone sees me. Sometimes, I don't know, sometimes it's hard for me to see everybody. Let me see. Oh, whoa, there we go. Yay. Okay, I found us. Yay. Okay. So we are going to play with the new papers in the new catalog. This is the May to August catalog. I will probably refer to it as the summer catalog. And we have a spring one, we have a holiday one, and then I think this one's going to be the summer one for me. So, for this set, I designed all the cards. People chose to get the paper party, which was the paper samples, and then they could also add on the embellishments. And for this one, I said that I was going to use the Sending Salutations stamp set. So I've used this stamp set for all the cards. I think it's a wonderful stamp set. I've probably already overused it, and I don't care. I love it, and I'm just very, very big fan of all the sentiments in this set. So that is what we'll be using. Tonight, we'll also be using some inks, not many. I tried to stick to just like a black. I did use hydrangea hue on one, and I think I used garden green on one. But honestly, I mean, you could just probably use black. I did do a little bit of color blending with the garden green though. So if you have a blending brush, great. And I did a little bit of coloring on one of the papers. I did hydrangea hue and calypso coral, or no, crisp cantaloupe. But again, you use, what you have access to. Most of the designs, there's a couple of fun folds. And then a lot of the designs came from a set of card sketches. And so I'll show you the sketch and then I'll show you my interpretation. So, first up, I'm going to grab, I've got the cards here and I've got the paper packs behind me. So, we're going to play with the paper medley. So, the paper medley is interesting because it features sheets that coordinate with all the other designer series packs, which is really interesting. So, but there's some very usable basic patterns in here. I did the black and whites, and then everybody also got a sample of the shimmer paper. So these are the in color shimmer papers. So there's Barely Blush, Crisp Cantaloupe, Hydrangea Hue, Golden Glow, gorgeous, and Peaceful Pine, which is the one I used for this one. So this is a really fun monochromatic card. My friend Michelle Cox designed this, and I kind of learned the basic layers from her, and then I kind of took it from there. So, all right, we'll put that over there. So this is a fun one because I used yep, I knew I would forget the name of this one. Let's see. Sweet words and labels dies. I was getting there. I use this one a lot. I've been really loving the shapes. They just layer really nicely with one another, and I thought it looked really pretty in this shimmer paper. We'll do that in a second. What we're going to do first is we're going to build the actual card, and then we'll add all the designer series pieces. So, this designer series is actually one sheet that was just cut, and it is four. And then it's got all these little pieces that we're going to use, and some we're going to use the A side, and some we're going to use the B side. You can decide what's what. What do you want to do? All right. To build the card itself, you have standard card sized square piece, and then you've got this. And those that got the measurement, those that did the class got the measurements and everything, so they can recreate this if they want to. which is great. That's one of the advantages. If you want the PDF for this, I always sell my PDFs and they're $15. So you're more than welcome to get the PDF. It has the measurements for the designer series paper. I don't know that it has the measurements for this one, but I could definitely add it. I think because I pre cut and scored this for everybody. But this is interesting because these two pieces kind of line up. And so it covers this and then that pulls out. It's just an interesting fold. All right. So we're going to. Now, there was a whole debate the other day, again, about wet glue and non wet glue. And you guys know I'm a wet glue fan, but mainly because it gives me an extra second to line things up. So if things aren't square, I can do that. All right, so then we're just going to center this in the middle of this. So a little more wet glue. And I stay away from the edges. So if it does squidge out, it doesn't squidge out through the edge. So hopefully we've centered that well enough-ish. We'll find out. I'll put a couple of these guys on either side. That looks pretty good. Now, sometimes on designer series paper, I don't love to use wet glue because sometimes you can see the lines of the glue through the paper, which I think is not attractive. But in this case, you'll notice I kind of moved it around a little bit, and that's to get rid of the line. So if you just kind of move it a little, then it does that. The other option is you could use the applicator tip, which no one ever does. Someone the other day didn't know the bottom opened at all. All right, then we're going to use this large panel on the front. And yes, I could have done this one the other way and made it different, but I chose not to because I think it's cute. All right, so this one is actually going to go here, and I find it easiest to kind of tuck that back behind it in order to squeeze it in. So the sentiment for this one is wishing you a bright and beautiful future. I think that's great for a retirement card. I think it's great for a card for um, graduation. It could be a cute birthday card, even. So it doesn't, you know, I think it's a generic enough, but yet special enough sentiment. So, all right, so we're going to put the white panel here, and then we're going to put, so that'll be covered. And then we're going to just put this little bit of black there. Is it necessary? No. Does it look cute? Yes. Okay. And then we're going to glue this panel down. It is a vellum, a shimmer vellum. So I am not putting glue on the edges. I'm just putting glue in the middle, just in case the glue decides to want to show through. I think you can see it a little bit, like a little shadow, but we'll pop this up with dimensionals and no one will ever know it was there. All right, let's get the stamp set out. So one of the things I've been doing is stamping on the inside, partly so that I can just remember how all the pieces go back on the little on the plastic. I've just been having a hard time keeping track of that. So don't mind me. I just apparently can't keep track of things. So. And I have used this set a lot already, and that's okay. Great. All right. And then we're going to pop a couple of dimensionals behind that. And we're going to call it a day. And then I did add a butterfly. So everybody that got the paper party got a sample of all the embellishments in the new catalog, minus one that I swore I had and didn't. So my apologies for that. But I provided a sample of some paper, some specialty paper, and a few of the pieces from the black ephemera set that comes with the butterflies. So I felt like I balanced it out. But yeah, the butterflies are super, super cute, and I really enjoyed them. Um, I think just one butterfly will do here. Like, I don't think you need anything overly complicated in the butterfly arena. Um, so I just put one on the card, and I used a small one on the first one and a big one on this one. So, all right, there's card number one. Ta da! That's a nice one. So I think that's a very useful card and really cute. So hopefully you guys like that one. All right, card number two is a case from a team meeting packet that we had this last month. And I'm trying to find the original on my wall, but I don't see it. Oh, there it is. So I decided to use the arches because that's what I have access to. And it creates a slider piece. So it's also a fun fold, technically. So there's this whole panel that's a slider. For the designer series paper, we are using the Artisan Sketched Garden. So this paper is really fun. It's all black and white. And I know I did polka dots again, but I like the black and white polka dots a lot. um, but there's some really beautiful vases in here. And so, kind of a neat thing to be able to color the flowers and everything in the vases. So, this one, I'm going to grab a few more extra colors. It's not enough. Right. Okay. And then I'm just going to do that fancy thing where I move my camera in a little bit while I color. I'll tell you a little bit about this. All right. So I'm going to put some water in the base here. And I'm going to do, this is my dark one. So I'm going to do a little bit of dark around the edges. Then I'm going to come back with the light and I'm going to smooth that out there. And I'm just going to leave a spot there that's just a little bit lighter because I want that look of water, right? And so you kind of have to go really light in the middle. I don't use a color lifter. I just stay really light and it tends to do what I want it to do. I'll use the dark crisp cantaloupe probably on the lines and then I'll fill in. Um, so I'm kind of just using the dark to kind of quote unquote outline the flower. And these flowers are a little organic, so I think it doesn't, I'll definitely make the buds the same color. And then we'll come in with the light. I will say this paper, it's meant for coloring, but it does kind of pick up the black lining. So, like, it's not my favorite for coloring. I would prefer probably just to stamp an image and color it, but and then I'll do a little bit of some veining with the dark peaceful pine. I prefer to color with the brush end. It gets a little tight, but that's okay. cool. So then I'll get my scissors. Ooh, let's get the new snips out. I wanted to give them a try. So as many of you know, or you might not know, I don't know, Stampin' Up! Has had paper snips for a long, long time. And our manufacturer stopped making them, and they worked really hard for quite some time to find somebody who could make a good detail scissor. So we just got brand new detail scissors. We can pre order them as demonstrators. And I'm super curious to see how they function compared to our old ones. I can tell you it's a little bit tighter just to begin with. Um, like the tension is a little bit tighter. The sharpness is delightful, but the tension's a little tighter. So, but I had bought a few other pairs of what I thought might be okay replacements, and they've all been terrible. So, when I saw that these were available for pre order for demonstrators this month, this will come out to customers in the July online exclusives. So, if you don't have a pair of detail scissors to do work like this, sorry, I was cutting off screen. No one pinged and told me. But if you don't have a pair of detail scissors, I would highly recommend that you get some. And I'm so happy that Stampin' Up! Has found a manufacturer for us, um, because safety scissors just don't cut it. And neither do any of the other scissors I found. So I found some that were pretty sharp, but they were almost like kid size. And I have like reasonably sized hands, but they were ridiculously small. And I was like, no, I can't use these. And then I found another pair that looked similar. They were black, they had black handles and everything, but they weren't very sharp and they had a very dull tip. And one of the kind of benefits of ours is that you can cut all the way to the tip, and they're just really sharp on the tip. They're just really lovely. So anyway, I don't love fussy cutting. It's not my favorite thing. But sometimes there are papers or items that are worth stamped images that are worth fussy cutting. And I do think these flowers are one of them. So hopefully you can see the detail in that. And you can see maybe some detail in this one too. So two very different images, and I chose to kind of randomly color these both green and Calypso coral. I don't know. These were horrible to cut out, so we don't want to do that. But all right. So now let's construct the cards. I'm going to lift up my phone a little bit. All right. So let's make the card. I'm going to set this one over here. So this is an interesting construction because we have a gatefold card, but the gatefold doesn't meet in the middle. And there's a gap. And the gap is so we can create the slider to get the whole piece in. Um, so you need two large pieces. And I die cut these from the arches. And then we're going to, what I found easiest was to put one of them in the middle, square it up. I know this seems crazy, but you're using large dimensionals to that will cooperate hopefully to build this panel. And you want them to kind of go up and down, right? Like we have a, we want to create this ability to slide. And so you need them to fit in the trough basically that you're creating for them. Okay. So then what I did is now I'm going to peel the backers off And I'm going to make sure that my stitching is the right way. Perfect. All right. So those two line up. Great. We're going to stamp this. I did think I could have stamped it in like a regular, like black ink, but I do really like hydrangea hue and the sentiment, sending best wishes for health and healing. It's probably my favorite sentiment of this entire set. And so I thought it was softer and nicer in hydrangea hue. So we're just going to kind of stamp it in the bottom right. I need to see how big this flower is. Hmm, there we go. Okay, go up a little bit. This flower is a little bit smaller than the other one, so good. All right, great. So, gonna get some dimensionals for these guys, and I might get a couple small ones. Uh, I might not have wanted that one because that might end up hanging off the edge. I don't know. Mhm. Yeah. All right. And then this piece is going to go on our panel, and I just glued it. I'm going to do our best to center that. And then we've got our inside panel. The inside panel is cut a little bit smaller than like a standard piece. And there is a small piece of DSP to kind of go across the bottom. So that's cute. It's just an interesting detail. And what's interesting is you can actually see it from the front, which is kind of cool, I think. So I'm just going to use that to like kind of cover that right there. And then I've got two of the big panels. I could mix this one up and I could put this on the front and do this, but I don't like it. I think it's too busy. So I'm going to stick with my polka dots. You know who loved a good polka dot? My aunt. Every time I see polka dot paper, I think of her. She was a navy and white polka dot person, but God, she loved a good polka dot. She's so funny. So yes, when I wear polka dots, especially if you see me in navy and white polka dot, it's because of her. So all right. So there we go. And it is kind of important to get those lined up because you are going to see that. And then the first time you do this, you probably are going to want to like kind of make your X a little bit, it makes like an X shape. You kind of want to open that X up a little bit just to make it easier to guide in. And then we did add some butterflies to this one. You could go wild and add whichever ones you want. I think the blue um, and the pink are really cute here. So I used Barely Blush as the as the cardstock, but then I used Chris Cantaloupe here, and I think that they all work really, really well together. So yay. All right. Card number two. We're done. We're moving. So this is wild. There were more than 10 papers that were released. Some of them that were released were specialty papers. So this card features the Valley in Bloom. Let's see if I got it right before Valley in Bloom. I did it. Yay. And I did sneak a little bit of the Lux White on the inside and added a little bit of color to it. So everybody that did the paper share also got a sample of the Lux White, which is really pretty and has several patterns. All right, let me see if I can get my card out. And then let me show the Lux White because there's the piece that has the Lillian, the Valley, but then there's also t- a piece that has a pattern that's like a checker kind of pattern. Sometimes it's hard to see the Lux White on the camera, but hopefully you can see that. And then the other one is like a greenery type piece. So it's fun paper. But I wanted to feature the really pretty organic, definitely hand painted plaid on here. So my original idea for this one, oh, did I show you guys? I'm pretty sure this one had a template as well. Oh, that's funny. Where did that one go? Hmm. Well, so originally I wanted to be able to punch the hole and just flip the paper. But I couldn't get the punch lined up right. So I ended up compromising by just punching it out of another piece. And for those of you in the class, I punched a piece for you so you wouldn't have to waste a piece of paper doing this because it was my crazy idea. So I'm going to go ahead. I've got a scratch piece of paper here. Oh, well, because this is the template. So, card sketches are an opportunity to get your creativity rolling, right? And say, okay, here it's a circle, it's a square, whatever, right? Here's the idea. So Stampin' Up puts out card sketches. They are available online. You'll see them on their social media. They also put them in their catalog, and then they provided us with a handout for these card sketches. And these card sketches were actually old ones that they had done. I didn't even realize that in like 2023. But anyway, so I was looking through the card sketches. I was like, you know what? I want to use all of these for our paper party. So I used each and every single one of them. And then I still needed a couple extra cards because there were only like maybe 7 sketches and I needed to make 10 cards. But I used the idea behind this one. And the idea is that you can subtract and add elements. And so this is their take on it. So they use some striped paper, a different stripe going a different way, and a small sentiment. And then this is my take on it, right? I decided that the circle could be smaller, but I would anchor it with something else. And then I wanted to stamp on the DSP. I love stamping on DSP. I think it looks really nice, especially when it's a nice light pattern like this. So we're going to be doing that. I'm going to add this color on here first, just so I can get this out of the way. So this is garden green. You could do whatever you want. Garden green is one of the colors that coordinates with this suite. There's quite a few, actually. Like it had a lot of green choices. I was like, oh, we could really do anything. The darker you go, then the more that this is going to stand out. And I was hoping, I was hoping I would have some tissues on my desk, but I'm not seeing any. I'd have to go grab like a paper towel or something. So you get a bunch of ink on it, and then the idea is that there's some resist, right? Because there's like a waxy coating. Mm. So you can take a tissue or a paper towel. I like a tissue just because I think it's a little bit softer. And then if there's a good resist on it, a good coating, and you can do this yourself by like stamping and doing a heat emboss with like clear or white embossing powder. But you pick up some of that and then you can see the pattern on there. So I could go darker if I wanted, if I really wanted to, add a little bit more color, I definitely could. I could do ombre, right, where I go really dark at the bottom and then go lighter at the top. It's up to you what you want to do. But let's stamp our sentiment on here. So all the rest are going to be in black. So that's good. And I used the I hope all things wonderful are headed your way, which is a lovely sentiment. It could be, you know, someone recovering from cancer treatment. It could be, um, again, a graduation, a birthday. So these sentiments are like nice because they're not like happy birthday. They've got, they're just a little bit more delicate and a little bit, I love the combination of the fonts. I like a serif and sans serif font. So lots of people are scared to stamp on their designer series paper, but it's okay, I promise. I love that Blackberry Bliss is one of the colors in this because it's such a pretty color. It's very deep and very dark, and I love it oh so much. And I think it contrasts really well. Okay, so we're gonna get our card base on here. Nice. And then we've got our piece of green. So this is also from the designer series paper. There's a little bit of color variation in here. And so I like that better than just the cardstock. I could have used a cardstock piece, no problem. But it's nice to use something else. All right, we're going to use all of our edges tonight, I bet. I declare that I will probably use these all. Got to get our lilies somewhat straight. And then we're going to go ahead and attach our panel to our inside white panel. Mm. So sometimes it's nice to add a panel on the inside of the card only because sometimes you have less to say. And by doing this, you take up a little bit of room. And so it makes it a little bit easier to send a card because you have less pressure, right, to fill the inside. So I did use the really fun new, these are the shimmering dots, and they go with this suite, right? Because yeah, this is the one that goes with the suite. So the pool party's really bright. But I like the green a lot. I like the white too. But the bright green is really fun. So we'll put a couple of these up here and cute. All right, card number 3 done. Yay. All right, so this is the template for for this one. This is their sample, and here is my sample. So, card sketch, their sample, my sample. This features kind of what I thought would be my favorite paper. It is the Everyday Essentials Mix and Match paper. I really love it. I think it's super fun. The colors are really soft, but then there's also some really bright and fun colors. Like there's a Darling Duckling, like kind of sunshine yellow piece. I don't know. It's got a floral, great paper. And one of the reasons I like this paper is because it has a notebook paper. And guess what? You can use it on the inside of your card as a place with lines to write. Isn't that great? So that's what we're going to do. So this had a couple of circles and a square, right? Or a rectangle. So that's what I did with this. And I'm not 1,000% sure. No, that's just an extra piece. All right. So this one's pretty easy to assemble. Um, and we're again going to stamp on some designer series paper. This designer series paper is really pretty. I hope that you can see it because it's got a really soft print on it. It's in bubble bath And so instead of using bubble bath cardstock, we're going to use this. And then the back of it is also cute, but we're going to do congratulations on your achievement because that's a great sentiment. And I think that's this one. Yep. Great. So I sent we obviously gave a lot of graduation cards and we sent a few as well over the past couple of weeks with high school graduations and college. We didn't have anybody from college graduating this time, but lots of high school stuff going on. So congratulations on your achievement. But this could be for National Honor Society induction, or my daughter was chosen to be captain of the color guard. Yeah, there's lots of reasons why we want to celebrate an achievement. So, all right. So this is one of those ones where I'm going to use a dry glue because, partly because we're going to write. So this one's the one that I'm going to put on the inside of the card. And I want to make sure that there's no bumps or lumps or anything. So I'm going to put that one on the inside because it's got just the straight lines. And then I'm going to do this one on the outside. And I'm going to use the dry glue on this too. You could use Seal Plus, whatever your adhesive of choice is. I do like this paper. It's very hard to see on camera, but there are some light little like pink dots and things on here. So, and then there's some dots on this piece too. So it's just a really fun, all the paper has a lot of texture and attention to detail. There's a lot of like, the little words on the bubble bath piece and the little dots on this. So, oh, I want to do that on the bottom. Always like to have the dots and things like that be on the bottom because the weight is on the bottom then. It's just like when you do an ombre, you do the darker at the bottom, lighter at the top. All right, then we're gonna add some fun circles. So this circle, I'm just gonna make sure these stripes are going like this. I don't want them to be in line with these stripes or these stripes. So that is 3 sets of stripes on there, which is why we will break it up with a floral. And then we're going to put this on with a couple of dimensionals. And because it's designer series paper, it's a little bit thinner. So I'll like maybe normally I would only do 2 dimensionals, but I'm going to support it with 3 dimensionals only because I want to make sure it's well supported as a piece of designer series paper. And then I used the in color dots. So this paper has a few of the in colors in it, but actually not as many of these as you think. But it was really fun to use all the different colors on here and just kind of go to town. I enjoyed it. So I think we, I just think they look cute and they're fun. It's a fun way to add some pizzazz to this. So, all right, card number 4, done. All right, so card number 5. All right, so here's the template, the sketch, right? Here's theirs. And I was like, there are no flowers to stamp. How are we going to do this? Well, we have the Velvet Meadow. It's so pretty and it's like fuzzy. All right, so I love this paper and I love that there is texture on it. It's gorgeous. And so I also included a bit of the velvet here as well. There's a coordinating set of specialty paper that has velvet in it. And so that features 3 colors. It has like a white, peaceful pine, and then a barely blush, or no, it's bubble bath pink. Um, One of the coolest parts of this card, though, is the fact that um, I used cloud cover for this. And oh, good. I was like, oh, heavens, I hope I cut that. Find that. So I wanted to, this panel has a panel at the top and a panel at the bottom. When you cut those panels into 4-inch strips, you get three full card fronts out of this. Whenever they design a sheet like that, I'm very interested in maximizing that and getting a full card panel out. There is cloud cover in the paper, and so I thought this was fun. This is one of the pieces of DSP. It's very like B side, like neither side, because this is actually the middle row of this sheet. So this full when you have this full panel, you don't need this middle piece, right? Because we only cut to 5 1/4. So I used that because the other side is this cloud cover. So thrifty. I'm pretty thrifty when it comes to paper. I did try to cut some pieces that had some good velvet texture on them. Of course, these all have a little bit of velvet texture on them too. So we like a good tactile card. And then I use the cloud cover card base. I love cloud cover. I think it's a very pretty blue. It's a cool blue, literally. All right, we're going to stamp the I'm here for you on this. This little die is very tiny and doesn't get enough action. And so I thought it would be fun to use that one. It is in the new, oh heavens, I knew I would forget this. Layers? No. Frames? And flourishes? No. Phrases and frames. Phrases and frames, man. So there's this little tiny die. So I use this one, and then you'll see this one in a little bit too. So I tried to use a couple of dies that maybe you haven't seen yet. Um, maybe, there's a stamp set or something you haven't seen. I hope that tonight was helpful and hopefully making determinations on things that you want to buy from the new catalog. We know we have this catalog through August, and there's not much that is guaranteed beyond that. I'll let you know. There will be one, the Bloom suite is the one that they've guaranteed that they will carry throughout the year. Doesn't mean it won't go on like back order and whatnot, but they're committed to keeping that one through the year to next end of April. But all these other ones, they didn't commit to that. And so what that means is that we're going to, need to use these and get these while we can, which is fine. But, people just need to know that so that you can make, your ordering and your planning. It could be around, but it's not guaranteed. And we always want to be careful. Oh, dear, I got some ink on that. That sucks. Okay. I have to think about that. All right. So that guy goes right in the middle there. It's tight, but he fits. I need an eraser. Let's see if I can. Sometimes, if I'm quick, I can erase the ink. My little sand eraser. Okay, it's better. No one will know, right? Oh dear. All right. Hmm. Mm, the velvet is a little thick, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to kind of put a little bit of glue here and kind of nestle this up so that I don't create too much bulk on the card. This one's pretty bulky because I added the dimensionals on top. So I'm hoping this one will make this one a little less bulky. Although, God bless, I added these dreamy flowers and therefore it's incredibly bulky now. These are thick. They're very cute, but they're very thick. So we'll put a flower here. And I might just do like a 1, 2, and yeah, just gonna keep those down and off this high point. So, all right, there we go. Velvet Meadows, super cute. And it really does vary depending on what flower you pick for that piece. So, those are fun. Okay, we have been powering through. We're doing a great job, everybody. I'm going to take a sip of my drink. So, there's our sketch, there's their interpretation, and here's my interpretation. So, we are going to use Bloom's paper. Whoa. The Bloom Boutique specialty paper. And we're going to use some crisp cantaloupe. And oh, I didn't cut my DSP for this one. Well, that's amusing. Okay, well, I got that piece. I can cut paper with you, right? I'm a strong, capable woman. Let's see if I can figure this out. It is the cross hatch one. Okay, very good. All right, well, we're going to get our trimmer out then. So this piece, the white square is a 4x4. That much I know. And I'm assuming this is 4. Great. So this is 4. This paper is gorgeous. It's got the gold in it. So it's a specialty paper, but it is busy, in my opinion. And so I just try to kind of tame it down. And so I do like the B side because it's got a lot of tame patterns. Some of them are a little modern looking, and so some of them looked a little weird partnered with the floral, but I thought this one looked good. So, all right, so we're going to take some things down, and we're going to stamp. This is that same. I hope all things wonderful are headed your way, because I just think it's a great sentiment. This is from the Sweet Words and Labels die. If you're wondering, it's a great set. And it is die cut with hydrangea hue. And yes, I double. I know it's not a great way to stamp. This one's really tight left and right. So if you are using the stamp set, just know it's really tight left and right. Okay. So a little crisp cantaloupe, a little hydrangea hue, and we are on our way. You could do this, right? Totally. Um, and you could probably still put that there and it would probably still look okay. But I just think it's really busy. And so that's why I chose to use the blue side with the little graphic print on it. And I went a little high for that one. And that's okay. That's what I want. And then so when I first started making cards, I didn't know how to use designer series paper at all. Oh, and I feel like there's an up and a down on this paper. I know that others would argue with me and say there isn't, but I kind of think there is. Um, so for me, I didn't know how to use designer series paper. I didn't know how to layer it. I didn't know there's a lot of principles that I didn't understand. And I think that card sketches can be a way to help you get over that and to help you figure out how to layer and use lots of DSP on your cards. So I would just encourage you, if you haven't looked at sketches or you don't know kind of, what they do, if you're struggling with designer series paper, it's a great way to learn how to use designer series paper. All right. So what we're going to do is the paper party, people that got the packet, they got a yard each of the beautiful new ribbons. And yeah, ow. Okay, well, I can confirm that those scissors are sharp. Oh, shoot, I'm bleeding. Darn it. All right. Those scissors are indeed sharp. I will not bleed on my projects. How does that sound? It's just a little over the edge. Okay. Oh, biscuits. Okay. So everybody that did the paper party got a yard each of all the new in color ribbons. So this catalog, they only came out, these are the only new ribbons that we got were these five, and they're beautiful. They tie lovely bows. Um, but one of the things that I've been doing with them, I wanted something a little thinner. And so I've been taking a piece and just cutting down the middle and making bows that way. And it's been really fun to do that. If I was to tie a traditional bow here, it's still cute, right? It's adorable bow, right? But it's still pretty thick. And this I think just adds a little bit of mirth. I don't know. So we're going to cut this with our very sharp scissors, and I'm sure it's going to do a fabulous job. So that's one of the things with paper snips is that, we want scissors that are going to cut ribbon really nicely. We want scissors that are going to cut paper. And we used to have like really big ribbon scissors. And I think eventually we realized that we didn't need them because these cut ribbon great. So we're going to work on that. And I'm going to get through the pain of being stabbed by my new scissors. All right. And I have committed to this piece, so I'm just going to go the whole way. We're just going to call it a day. I'm going to use a little bit on another piece too, another card in a minute. So I'm not super worried about it. But all right. Whew, that is right on the part where you cut. Oh, that's painful. All right. So we're going to tie a cute little bow. Someone said, was it Natalie? One of the employees for Stampin' Up, her name's Natalie White. She was presenting on something. She's like, I don't know what you would use glue dots for. So funny. It's like, to glue down your bows. I don't know where my package of glue dots is. So I've been using these double dots from Stampin' Up from the kits, but beyond that, yes, I do like a double dot. I do like a glue dot for putting my bows on. There we go. Okay. So cute little bow on our card. And this card is done. Yay. All right. So our next one, I like to cover up you guys can tell me who did it best, right? I don't know. Card sketch, their sample, and my sample. All right. So Moonlit Flora, gorgeous paper. Um, I included a piece of the embossed Mossy Meadow with the embossing folder because that Fern and Flora embossing folder is gorgeous. I'm stamping on DSP again. Don't kill me. And I do love the new Golden Glow color. So I love this paper because there is one sheet that I'm not sure I can cut. And I know I'm going to have to get over it eventually, but I'm not ready to. And it's the one that has the Luna moth on it. So this is like I had never seen one in person until we lived in Charleston, and they were everywhere, and we saw them, and it was just such a beautiful sight. You've just never seen anything quite that green and quite that beautiful before. So if I could wallpaper my bathroom with this, I would. I think it would be gorgeous. And that's when I know I'm having a hard time with a piece of paper and I can't cut it. So I was not able to cut that piece to make this card, but it's okay. We're fine. Um, so I did punch these pieces for everybody that's doing this so that they don't have to waste their paper and punch it. And then I'm going to stick this guy over here. And we've got our really nice piece that's been embossed. And I tried to move it around so everybody got kind of a different piece of the embossing folder because it's got a lot of really pretty details. And we're just going to glue this right onto the card front. I do like to use wet glue for embossed pieces like this because it can kind of hit all the ups and downs. And so it tends to glue the embossed pieces really, really well. And then I did kind of spend a little bit of time arranging my pieces so that I was happy with how they came out. Um, and if you're having a hard time or you're trying to figure out what how to layer them. I didn't like the two white pieces next to each other, so I tried to I think that yeah, that'll work. But each of them is going to be a little different because all the pieces are different. So, you can decide what that looks like for you. Oh, I think we're a little like I don't know. Something seems a little strange. Okay. All right. So then we're just going to glue these guys down and I just kind of placed them and then as I glued them I kind of made sure that they were where I wanted them because of the spacing on them has to be kind of and you get a couple of seconds to move your paper with wet glue but not that much time. mm, I'll try to slide. Yeah. Okay, good. So we got those pieces on. And then I just used a strip of the designer series paper. There's a couple of sentiments in this set that are really tiny. One of them is I don't know what I do without you. And one of them is I truly appreciate all you do. But it's a very, very tiny font. It's a little hard to read. I will say that. But it's a sweet sentiment. It's just really hard to read. Okay, so I'm going to leave it so that I can cut some angles on either of the sides. So I'm going to do an angle like that, and I'm going to do kind of a corresponding angle over here. And you can see some of it's a little bit darker than the other, but I think it's fine. Again, it's designer series paper, so I kind of want to make sure it's well, supported on all the all the pieces. So I might over dimensionalize this, and that's okay. And then we're going to add some of the really pretty glossy dot pieces that come with this. Sweet. This is the dewdrop embellishments, and they're just so pretty. I was really into the green when I was doing all this. I really love all the greens and like Secret Sea and there's a bazillion colors in this set. Um it's really really pretty. Nice. All right. So there we go. Man, we are clipping. All right, next. So I have never had a paper party that was 10 cards. This is the biggest I've ever done. And I will say that this was a lot of work in terms of prep and design. And yeah, this was a lot. All right. So this one I knew instantly when I saw the 1, 2, 3. I knew which paper I was going to cut on the 1, 2, 3. So this is the Scenic Coast paper, which is gorgeous. And we're going to do some fun stuff. We used the phrases and frames die to add some detail and some cutting here. So let me grab these guys. I might not have kept my DSP for this one either. So the other thing I used for this was the shimmer paper. So there is the Sunset Shimmer Vellum, and it has this color, which I guess is like a champagne. They said it's balmy blue, barely blush, and iridescent. And that is iridescent. Um, and then I'll show you the other two. And then that's balmy blue. You can see that. And then the barely blush is truly barely blush. It's just a really light pink color. So pretty, 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 pretty paper. Um, but wanted to show you that when you cut this, you with this die, you get both an inner and an outer piece. So I'm going to do the opposite of what I did on the card front here. So I'm going to use the pink outside and I'm going to stamp on this and see how it goes. I don't know if it's going to go well or not, but we'll find out. And then on the inside of this one, you're going to see I used a piece of the panel that we used from here. So let me grab this and we'll cut a panel together. All right. Get rid of that guy. All right. So we want this to be 4 inches tall. So we're going to have a nice piece to go on the inside. And this we need to cut down to 5 1/4. And you could definitely, you could use the inverse if you wanted to. You can do whatever you want, but we'll put that on the inside. And then we're going to we're going to cut, and I think it's 1 3/4, but I'm going to remeasure because you never know. No, 1.5. Okay. So these are 1.5 inch panels, and I wanted to make sure that they built sequentially. So I'm going to cut them like this, and I'm going to cut 1.5, and then I'm going to cut 1.5, and then I'm going to cut 1.5. And I'll probably end up with some pretty pieces like this that I'll use on another card somehow. I'm not too worried about it. That paper will get used. We know that. All right, so we used strawberry slush as our card base, which is wild that strawberry slush is in here. We're gonna layer these pieces up and just gonna build from the left to the right. So I could have like the sample kind of put them in the middle, or I could have spaced them out a little differently. I tried a couple of different ways with this one, and this is ultimately how I decided to make this one work. So you can do what you want to do, but I think they call it like a split seam. I think it's a nice way to, oops, showcase the paper. Good job. Way to notice that before you stuck it down good. And you can, space them out as much as you want. Try to get them maybe as straight as you can. It's no big deal. All right. So I had this idea that I wanted to do something like this. I'm still not sure how I'm going to adhere this, but we're going to give it a try. All right. Let me put the sample card over here so you can see what I did on this one. So if it turns out terribly, you know how to fix it. Ah, heavens. All right. So we've got some sentiments we need to pull off of here. Normally, I would use StazOn, maybe. Maybe I would use the new hybrid pad, but I'm not 100% sure about it yet. I'm going to try Memento and see what it looks like. If it doesn't work, it's pretty faded, but it's legible. We'll have to see if it dries. Um, so I'm going to probably pop this panel up with dimensionals. And I'm gonna glue that piece down. And I'm gonna do, I think I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use my silicone mat and I'm going to use a little bit of a sponge to apply the glue all over the back so that it's even. So hopefully you can't see it as much. And I'm going to bring this panel in just a little bit because I think that'll be good. Okay. So I'm going to bring my piece in. I'm going to hope that dries. And then we used to have these old yellow sponges and we would just cut a piece off to do this. So I just put a pile of glue on my silicone mat. This will come off later pretty easily, but I'm just going to kind of rub this around and then I'm just going to dab on here. I'm not going to rub super hard because I also am not sure how dry the sentiment is, but I'm hoping that I can get it tucked in here and glued down. And I'm hoping it's somewhat legible. Yeah, that's not bad. Don't mind my very technical gluing technique here. Yeah, that's cute. I don't mind that. I don't hate it. I don't hate. I don't hate. All right. And what's fun is that later, when this dries, or even before it dries, you can literally just like squidge it off and like it just like peels off. It's very fun. It's actually very satisfying. And look, now my mat is perfectly good. So I love that. All right. So that's fun. All right. Like making messes, you guys know that. I did give everybody some of the anchor pieces, and we're going to use one in here. And hopefully, I've got my anchors somewhere. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to end up using both of the anchors. You get a set. I think that they would make really cute earrings. I hope someone will make an earring out of it and show me that they do indeed make a cute earring. And then I went ahead and cut the crisp cantaloupe piece really tight. And I'm going to make a point with my very sharp scissors. See, I drew blood for you. That's how good they are. You might have to kind of round them up a little bit before you're able to pull it through. There we go. All right. We're going to do this more than once, so we'll get good practice at it. Luckily, I've had a tetanus shot in the last 10 years, so don't worry. I'll be fine. You don't have to report or anything. All right. So, gonna tie a bow. It's always harder to tie a bow on like a little freestanding doodad than it is anything else. Actually, that one turned out pretty cute. Right there. Awesome. All right. So we've got a cute little bow. We're going to put a glue dot on our project. And sometimes scissors are good for this too. Like if you have a good pair of scissors that has a nice tip, you can kind of pick up your glue dot with that. I'm going to put it on the actual little label piece since I've kind of done the opposite of what I did before. Cute. And then we'll trim, and there we go. Thank you so much for your friendship. Done two different ways. So those are cool. Definitely easier to read it on there, but I'm glad it worked out on there. So I was kind of excited to give that a try. So, all right, we're coming around the corner. I think we have, oh, and I didn't do the inside. Let me, oh, shoot. I don't want to show you that one yet. Can't see the next one. Hold on. I didn't do the inside. All right. The inside's really easy. We're just going to glue these two pieces. All right. So we've got our bottom, we've got our water. And I didn't decorate the inside of every card, but I mean, it really is as easy as like adding a piece of DSP. You know, you could put a little tiny piece along this side if you've got like leftovers. It's a great way to, oh, that is too big. All right, we're going to tuck that under there. It's a great way to use up your leftover paper or your little scraps or things like that. So, there we go. We got the inside. All right. We have two cards left. So here we go. This is the um one of the last. Oh, we're definitely I must have hit the camera. One of the last, this is actually the last sketch. And so you can kind of see the original sketch. And this shows you how layering lots and lots of little pieces of designer series paper can make for a really fun card. I will say I like the B side of this paper a lot, and I'm not sure I like the A side all that much. So um, I I thought this was as good as I could get this one. I don't have the set. But I love the water, and there's one that has like a wood grain on it. But like this feels very Nantucket to me. I don't know. So we're gonna make some make a fun card. Cheers to you. So this is the tiniest sentiment of the set. It is wee tiny, and it is impressively small. So we'll stamp this on here towards the left, and then we're going to hide the rest of it behind the panel. So cheers to you. Ta-da, it fits. This paper uses gray granite, which I had kind of a love-hate relationship with this. To me, it's a very dirty gray, but it looks really sharp with this paper. I think it matches very well. There's that wood grain. So one of the options here is to do the wood grain and then flip this over and do like the little fish, which I thought was kind of cute. You could do the water too if you wanted, but I'm going to stick to the original. But I thought that was kind of funny if you wanted to use the fishies. I used a white card base for this one because I went to the edge with the designer series paper. And so in that case, just using a thick white is perfectly fine because you're just going to cover the whole thing up anyway. So what does it matter? And then you don't have to add a piece of white on the inside to write. So, and again, I could have used, the flip side of that if I wanted to, but I really like this stripe a lot. Okay, so this panel is going to go up on dimensionals. So I'm going to add some dimensionals here and then I'm going to glue the little sentiment piece flat. There is an up and a down to the waves. So you'll want to make sure, same with like the buoys, you'll want to make sure that you've got these on here directionally correct. Or else, it will look a little strange. Okay. Then we're going to take another one of our little anchors and we're going to take our hydrangea hue, which is not in this paper at all. So if this drives you bananas that it's a different blue, then don't do this. And then what I did for this one was I tied it and I double tied it. So I tied it like this. Hopefully I can do it still with my broken stabbed finger. So I want the knot to be further down. So I'm going to kind of manipulate the knot as close to the anchor as I can get it. There we go. And then that'll kind of leave us with a nice flat piece. And then we can cut and get our glue dot on here. Yep, I just want it on the, there we go. Cute. All right. So that is the second to the last card. We have one more card left. Everybody needs to take a deep breath. It's a fun fold. And it's pretty complicated. This is actually something that I saw on Stampin' Up's official page. I think it was designed by an artisan design team member, and I'm very sorry that I don't know her name. This one actually is a little different in that I used a different sentiment, and I used some of these pieces from this black cool piece. But the base itself is definitely her design. So this features the beautiful ordinary paper and it has a really cool fold. So um, the black pieces come from this. It's called the Floral Flights Accent. And you get one sheet of this incredibly thick chipboard that has a bunch of flowers and butterflies on it. And it's very, very beautiful. There's one really large flower piece that's gorgeous. I can't wait to use that on a card. I'm going to take the last butterfly on my panel, Sadness, and I'm going to take the last heart. And then I think I'm going to take one of these pieces because I haven't done anything with these. So it's very, very strong, very, very thick, very, very sturdy. And I'll show you a little bit about that and how we need to get all those little centerpieces out. I might not use my brand new scissors. They might be too sharp. All right. And then the essential, what is this one called? Beautiful Ordinary Life. This is beautiful paper, and hopefully, my instructions will make sense and you will be able to figure this out. So, we're going to build it one piece at a time. We're going to wait on the belly band and we'll do that kind of last. We're going to work on this inner folded piece first. This is the panels for the front and the inside. All right, this is the belly band. So the card base itself is just a gatefold card base. So um, that is not terribly impressive. The designer series paper, you're going to score the same way you would score your gatefold card base. So you're going to score at, I always like to remeasure just because I don't want to mess up. So 2 1/8 and and then 2 1/8 on the other side, I think is the easiest way to do it. So I do 2 1/8 on one side, and I'm just going to lightly score. And then we're going to do 2 1/8 on the other side, and we're going to lightly score. Okay. And then you can make a tick mark at the halfway and then use your scoreboard to do this, which is a lot. Um, the halfway mark on this is 4 1/4. So I'm just going to do a little like indentation there and a little indentation there, just at the top and the bottom. Because what I want to do is this piece needs to be able to, and I'm going to make sure that I'm not crazy. This piece is going to come down here. Yeah. So if it helps to kind of like, I wouldn't say like score it at the halfway mark, but like kind of, it doesn't really matter because if you like origami, you'll love this. You're going to bring one up and you're going to make sure that you get a nice, gotta have a pretty even line. And then you're going to bring this one down. And again, you want to make sure that you've got a pretty, it's like I wait to do that point until I know I've got a pretty good line and then it'll go up to the middle. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to bring this down. And again, I'm going to wait to do that point until I know I've got a pretty good situation. And then I think that one was okay. I don't think it was great, but, and then we're going to do this. Okay. So then what that does is it creates these, you have two sets of X's, and you've also still got these inner pieces here. So don't forget these fold lines as well. So that crease is going to come in and that crease is going to come in. And sometimes you have to kind of manipulate it to make it do what you want. And sometimes you have to re-score things a little bit when you do this. And then you're going to do the same thing here. You're going to kind of bring that one in and you're going to bring that one in. And then again, you're going to probably have to rescore things. Once you've got this kind of in this shape, now I feel confident and everything fits. And so now I will come in and I will score it with my bone folder just so that I've got all my edges nice and trim and flat. Okay. Because what happens is we're going to glue this to the outside. So it opens like this. Okay. So we've got our card base. We're going to glue this piece down first. So we're going to glue this. And that is why you use liquid glue. Because we want it to be right in the middle and we want it to be straight enough that we're now going to glue these two panels down. So we're going to put glue on one side and we're going to glue that panel down. And then we're going to put glue on the other side and we're going to glue that panel down. Okay. And then that is going to give us what opens to make our card. Cool, right? Okay. So now we're going to work on just this little piece on the inside. So for this one, I did here's to a new chapter and to a marvelous person on their birthday was what I did on the outside. So we're going to stamp this and we're going to stamp it in a funny way, right? Because because we're going to put it in the card in a funny way. So here's to a new chapter and to a marvelous person on their birthday. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and just stamp this outside piece as well because we might as well. And I'm here for you. Get all these guys off of here. And for this one, I just did it right in the middle. And I think that that worked out just fine. So, all right. Now we're going to take our pieces. You could use your take your pick tool if you've got a poker tool. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can get all these little pieces out, but there are a bunch of pieces that need to be kind of pushed out of this. Like it's laser cut, but they're in there pretty tight. So there we go. Got this guy. I just think he looks cool when he's on there. Okay. And then we're just going to go ahead and put some glue on the back of that. And that's going to help us to finish the inside of our card, right? So I'm just going to lay that guy in there, close him up, call it a day. All right. So we finished the inside, right? We do need to cut this piece for the outside. I cut this, but I didn't cut the length. So it just needs to be to 5 1/4. And I need two of them. Oops, sorry, Mr. Card. This is that whole thing where like you end up working in like a 4-inch space, right? Even though you have like a giant desk. Oh, cut 5 1/4. 5 1/4. Okay. And this paper has a black and white pattern on the back side of all the really colorful pieces, and it's really, really beautiful paper. If you haven't had a chance to get this paper or play with it yet, I would highly encourage it. I think it's gorgeous. All the colors are just summery and fun, and I don't know, it's a really nice paper. All right, so we've got one panel, we've got two panels. And they're relatively lined up, which is great. All right, I'm going to put that under like a basket so that it'll just dry flat. And we're going to work a little bit on the piece to go on the front. So for my other one, I used kind of a darker piece. I'll probably use a smaller piece of this one. I need to measure it because I think it's too wide right now. Oh, it's just 2.5, right? Okay, so I'm gonna cut off a little bit. Mm. So this one will look a little different because it's got all the red and stuff on it, but this will be cool. And we've got the flowers are really easy. I would say 90% of the stuff on this flower one is like already popped out. But the butterfly takes a little bit of work. There's one piece here, and I know he wants to come out. Just to be convinced, right? The butterfly, I'm going to kind of hold it here so you can see it. But it is helpful to hold it in front of like a light colored piece of paper because then you can see the light shining through the the edges or the pieces where you know they need to be popped out from. So that was really helpful for me was to kind of hold it above a light surface because my work surface is so dark. It was really hard to see otherwise. So I will say that was helpful. And that could be a light piece of, cardstock or anything else. So, all right. So I'm gonna knock those three guys. And then hold one, and a two, and a three, and a four. Let's see what I can get out. One, two, three. All right. So I like to kind of bend the butterfly up a little bit so that when we attach him onto here, he kind of has a little bit of flight. And I'll use a couple of glue dots on the flip side to glue him down. I could also use a little bit of glue or something else, but for me, the glue dots are probably the easier thing to use. So I'll just, and I want to do it so that you can actually read the sentiment. And then for this one, I put part of the flower panel behind it because I wanted to like have it kind of coming out of the piece. So you can decide, where you want that and how you want to attach it. I think it's easier probably for me just to put a little bit of glue on, the back side of this and go ahead and just attach it here and say, yeah, all right, that looks great, and now wherever that falls, it falls. And then we're going to put some dimensionals on the back of here. I've got a couple on that page. Here's a couple more just because, it's a big panel, right? I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I haven't seen a lot of chitter or chatter. I know it's the summer and everyone's busy. For those of you that got the paper party, I hope that you have loved it and that it's been useful to you as a way to learn about the papers and all of the different complementary pieces. I did use the array of dots embellishments for this one because I thought they were really pretty. And I just think that, you know, it's meant this was the designed match. This is the one that goes with the suite. And I just think it's really, really nice. All right. So when we're making the belly band, we want to make sure it's not too tight because we want to make sure that it's easy for people, to slip on and off. So when I'm doing a belly band like this, especially for such a bulky card, I will just kind of lay the card here and I'll say, okay, what does this very gently, what does this look like? And when I've got it here, I'll kind of hold it and say, is that tight enough? Is that loose enough? Like, okay. But when I glue it, I'm going to make sure that I give plenty, there's plenty of give here. I don't, oops, that's very close to the edge. That is over the edge. I do not love that. All right. I'm tired. I can tell. So when we're gluing it, I'm going to actually take this out and I'm going to just kind of glue this on here and I'll just hold it for a second. And then we'll put this on top, right? So it'll block that. And we're going to get some dimensionals. And I'm probably going to use some edges for this because they're bigger and I don't have any big guys right now. This is about yay wide, right? So I'm going to make sure that I don't go, over the boundaries of how wide our piece is. But I also want to make sure that it's well supported and that that it stays on. It's also built of DSP, so it needs, again, a few extra probably dimensionals. So we're gonna put this guy on. Ooh, we're gonna put this guy on here. And slide it on here. And hopefully we didn't make it too tight. Ah, we did fine. There we go. Nice. All right. So card one, card two. All right, I would love to know, and I will pick a participant to win a prize, probably a new embellishment from the catalog. I think I have an extra set of array. Oh, yes, I do. I do. I have an extra set of the array of dots, and I would love to give these away. So I will give everybody a week to comment, but I would love to hear what your favorite card design from tonight was. So you can just tell me it was the beautiful ordinary life, or it was the paper medley, the artisan sketched, the Valley in Bloom, the Everyday Essentials, the Velvet Meadow, the Bloom Boutique, the Moonlit Flora, the Scenic Coast, or the Waterside Retreat. So let me know which one's your favorite. I'll give everybody a week to comment and I'll pick a winner next week when I go live. I should be back live on Wednesday night for those of you who were looking for me last night. Sorry. I have been doing a major cleanup of my daughter's room because she is away at Girl Scout camp. She's actually working at camp this summer, which is awesome. But it means that I have access to her room and I can clean, clean, clean. So I have been working on that. She's going to be a senior this year and we're looking forward to a great year, but we also know it's going to be really busy. And I just wanted to make sure that we had everything off to a great start. And yeah, so anyway, it's been wild. It's been a wild, wild week. I've been really busy. My little Google Health Watch, my new Fitbit thing, told me that I needed rest. I was like, well, I don't really have time for that. But I hope that everyone's having a wonderful summer and a great start to it. Let me know, what you're up to. And if I can help you in any way, please let me know. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I know it was a long one. Thanks for sticking with me. Talk to you later. Bye bye.